Hello and welcome to the podcast that is less false nine and more launch it down the line. It's the big man up top.
It certainly is. Joe, are you okay? You okay, Joe?
Oh, it's hard.
Are you okay?
It's difficult. What a difficult time.
What a difficult time to be a Liverpool fan.
Yeah. Look, it's the kind of weekend where you've just got to delete Twitter and move on with your life. You know what? I went for a drink with a friend on Sunday night. Sunday night, Ed.
Oh, goodness. A school night.
Honestly. And he is someone that is not into football at all. And I'm just sat there like, I'm jealous.
Yeah.
That your mood isn't impacted by sport. You know, like sometimes you just have those moments of like, why does this impact me so much?
Yeah, what was going on in my life now that this is happening?
I switched the game off. I made a toad in the hole. And my wife was like, it's okay. She didn't say it's just a game, but words to those effect. She's like, oh, I'm sorry about that. It's like, it's fine. I'm absolutely fine. I'm just making a toad in the hole.
It's absolutely fine. I'm not bothered at all. I'm not affected.
Yeah.
Well, what are we going to talk about today, Joe? So take your mind off it.
I think we're probably going to talk about Liverpool, aren't we?
I think we are. We're going to delve into it just a little bit.
We are going to talk about Ange Postecoglu. Yeah. More on him later. And we are going to talk about the decision to ban Maccabi Tel Aviv fans from coming to Villa Park in November.
Yeah, absolutely. This has been a huge story in not just football, but really in sort of world geopolitics. And obviously, we're not particularly qualified to weigh in. But actually,
I wondered about getting someone from the serious news team to help us.
Yeah, well, that's it. When this story broke last week, they actually came to me and asked for my opinion.
Asked for comments.
I know, yeah, and I just thought, goodness me, I'm not entirely sure I'm the right person for this.
What did you say?
Well, we'll touch on it later, Joe, because it's broadly similar. But yeah, and so, this is a big topic and it's very important. And I think that really, as with all of these things, we need to be looking to the Bible to help us make sense of these kind of situations. So that's what we're going to do later on in the show.
But I reckon we should start with a little quiz.
Yes, it's Bible Ballers. This is our quiz segment. So this week I'm quizzing you, Joe, about a football personality whose first name is shared with the name of a book in the Bible. That's what we call Bible Ballers. It's not catching on yet. Hopefully it might do if we
Now, you said football personality there, so that makes me think, is this question about a football adjacent
It's
person?
A former football player.
Okay.
But I think more well known as a football manager, Joe.
Interesting.
So, Samuel Allardyce. You know Samuel Allardyce, don't you? Yeah. Allardyce,
famously.
Why was he called Allardyce? This is not the question, by the way.
Well, his famous phrase was, if he was called Sam Allardyce, he'd get a job at like Barcelona, something like that. And he kept coming back to this.
Yeah, absolutely.
And there was the whole notion that if he was a bit more exotic, he would have done better.
Listen. Fair play. So, Sam Allardyce, who was once described as a genius by Pep Guardiola, that is true, has managed 11 clubs. I'm not including his brief stint as England manager or any caretaker spells. He's, proper full-time basis, he's managed 11 clubs. For a point this week, I want you to name 5. 5 of the clubs that Sam Allardyce has managed. Now, I'm not going to let you I'm going to let you think about this, Joe. So you don't have to do it right now.
Can I start making notes?
You can make notes, absolutely.
All right, let me get a Word document.
It's one of those things, I think, where people think they know who Sam Allardyce managed. You sort of think, I could name all 11, don't you? But actually, it's that thing of, did he really manage that team, or have I just made that up?
Feels like he's managed a lot of clubs. Yeah. Well, and have you got any that you can absolutely cast iron? Well, let's say Bolton is a dead cert.
So you go with Bolton as one. Well, I will wait for your full 5 until the end of the show.
Lovely stuff.
Well, we are going to shortly have a look at this week's Premier League action, Joe. But before we do that, we actually had a bit of correspondence.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we did. We had a voice note come in. Should we have a listen?
Oh, go on then.
Hi, guys. Former producer Anthony here. As you will well know, I've recently moved to Singapore. Unfortunately, I've not been able to watch the Manchester United-Liverpool game because I'm still working out exactly how to get football here in Singapore. So it would be really, really helpful for me, because I know Joe would have been watching. Obviously, he's a big Liverpool fan. If you could just recreate some of the key moments for me, really go in great detail about what exactly happened in this game, Manchester United versus Liverpool. It would be just amazing for me. I really, really appreciate it. I know Joe is such a helpful guy and would really love to do this for me as well. So yeah, thanks a lot, and look forward to hearing the episode when it comes out.
Yeah, well, thanks, Anthony, for the correspondence. And I would just say
lovely.
there's not much to write home about. It was a comfortable win. Let's move on.
Nice try. Thank you for Anthony, former producer of this show.
Lovely to hear his
all
voice.
the way from Singapore.
Yes,
and yeah, he's struggling to. He hasn't.
Shame about his audio quality as a former producer.
Yeah, well, it must be something to do with the weather or something, or something out there. But yeah, no. So he specifically has asked for a rundown of this game, Joe, and you're gonna have to oblige him, I'm afraid, because that's your job.
Yeah, no. Look, I don't know where you want me to start here.
Well, let's start with what on earth went on at Anfield at the weekend.
Well, I think it's actually fair to say that United played very well. I think historically, you say historically, Amorim's been there for just over a year, and actually his record against Big Six teams is quite good. He can get a team to set up well against Liverpool, Man City, Arsenal. But when he's grabbed a win in a pass, it's felt a bit smash and grab.
Right.
So you think of them beating City away last year, Diallo in the last minute, you think they didn't play particularly well, but they got the win. This felt different, I think, for me. And obviously we're going to come on to Liverpool's downfall because that's obviously a major part of this. But I think he actually tactically did really well. I think a big decision he made was not to play Sesko.
Yeah.
He played Cunha up top, which Slot said in his post-match that they expected Sesko to play, and they'd been training expecting that. So when Cunha was in there, obviously they weren't sure Sesko was going to play, but they'd been training, imagining him. So, and actually, Gary Neville made a point that actually Van Dijk didn't have anyone to mark because of Cunha's ability to kind of play a bit deeper and a bit more of a free role.
Yeah.
I think that was actually a bit of a tactical stroke of genius.
Despite the various sort of grief we've given Amorim on this show this year, is what we have said all along is actually when it's firing, and particularly that front three of Mason Mount, Cunha and Mbeumo, it looks really exciting, doesn't it? Because they move all over the place. That all three of them can sort of do a job anywhere. And so yeah, that really, 2 minutes in, and all of a sudden they're 1-0 up, and it was a lovely move, wasn't it?
I think that was it, and they were just so aggressive from the start, which you're not used to seeing United do in games like this. They were on the front foot. Their attackers were well up for it. Controversial goal?
Do you mean the first one?
Yeah.
No, I don't think so.
You don't think so?
So you're referring to McAllister, aren't you?
Yes, so McAllister got an elbow to the head from Van Dijk. So it's important to say it's not a foul.
Yeah.
But the rules state that if there's a head injury, play must stop, regardless of what happens. If someone has hurt their head, the play has to stop. Now, Michael Oliver, the referee, has missed that. He's missed that McAllister's got an injury to the head. His assistants must have missed it as well and not communicated it. So the goal stands. And it's one of those situations where I think it's just frustrating.
Yeah, I understand. I think that for me, Match of the Day timed it, didn't they, as 9 seconds from the point where he got the elbow in the back of the head to the ball being in the back of the net. So it wasn't like he was on the floor for 40 seconds,
sure,
desperately needing treatment. But yes, you're right. By the letter of the law, the game probably should have been stopped a bit quicker.
But it's one of those that it's just a bit annoying, because VAR can't look at it. VAR can't go back and be like, oh, the game should have stopped because of that. It's not within the remit of VAR. So as a Liverpool fan, you just have to be like, it's annoying that was missed, but you concede a goal in the first minute. You have 90 minutes to put it right.
I think this is it. Talking about that, for me, sort of just papers over the cracks.
No, of course it does. And of course,
know.
it's not an excuse because you've got a whole game to literally go again. But it did suck out all the energy from Anfield.
Well, so tell us about the remaining 89 minutes in this match then. How did Liverpool respond to going 1-0 down so early?
I thought they just, it's not clicking at all. I think Slot's football last year was really nice to watch. It was a lot of passing, it was slow build-up play and creating chances. Whereas now they're creating a lot of chances, actually. The XG of this game was over 3 goals, which is good. And there was a lot of chances in the first half. They just can't finish chances, is the thing. Gakpo could hit the post 3 times, nearly missed the goal that he scored. He tried his best.
He did his very best to not score.
Yeah. But it's still clear that Isaac isn't sharp. He had a chance to score and basically hit it straight at the keeper. Salah just looks off it. And yeah, it just feels really sluggish. And a lot of work to do. And
there's all sorts of things. We don't need to sort of pick through because I think Liverpool quite clearly have problems everywhere. The goalkeeper that stepped in for Alisson didn't have a particularly good game. I don't feel they just look a shadow of themselves at the back. There was an incredible moment of seeing Van Dijk sort of in the middle of the pitch waving his arms around after one chance was created because he was upset with someone or something. The midfield just does not have a handle on the game at all. And then up front, I think really Ekitike is about the only bright spot that Liverpool have got. Obviously Gakpo, I think, generally had a good game.
Gakpo's been the best forward alongside Ekitike this season, actually, and he looked like the most likely to make something happen throughout the whole game. But I think something for me that is really different from last year. Slot was lauded for his in-game decisions and his subs last year. They always seemed to work. There was a period where Liverpool were terrible in the first half of the game. He would work out at half-time what was happening, make a few changes, and that would change the game. And that's kind of what you come to expect of Slot managing Liverpool. This season, 2 games in a row now, so this game and Chelsea, they've gone a goal behind, and he's basically thrown the system out of the window.
Yeah.
About 60 minutes in, he brings off Gravenberch, which he was injured, but he brings on forwards, and you're essentially playing a 4-2-4 with Wirtz and Jones in the middle, which gets overrun every day of the week.
It's not exactly going to, add that spine to...
It's not. And essentially he's making these subs in the 60th minute, which are things you should be doing on the 85th minute, I think.
Yeah.
Of let's throw everything at it. But he's doing it for half an hour. So Gary Neville made the point in commentary that there are going to be chances for United here. Even if it goes to 1-1, which it did, United still have a chance because it's so open.
It's hugely open, and Liverpool just don't have that kind of resilience at the moment to withstand any sort of pressure, unfortunately. What about United's winner, though? I've got to be honest, I'm going to call out the BBC here. I was very unhappy with Match of the Day when they showed this goal, Harry Maguire's sort of winner with 5 minutes to go. They showed this goal with the caption, how they like a little jokey caption at the bottom.
Pun, yeah.
It was absolutely slabulous, which I thought was really unfair. Like, obviously this is a reference to the kind of mean nickname of Slabhead that he's been getting, but I just thought, like, come on, like, he's had a really rough time and fans give him enough grief as it is. The wider footballing media give him enough grief as it is. He's scored and stepped up in a really big way for his team. Don't bring that out. Like, come on.
Leave it alone.
Like, yeah, exactly.
It's very 2018.
Let's just do better than that. Let's do better than that. Anyway, Maguire, Harry Maguire, as his actual name is.
Yes.
Really great moment for him at the end.
Huge moment. And I find it hard to be mad at that because he has had a torrid time. He plays very well for England, and you can't take away a moment like that from him. He famously had that chance in this fixture last year in the last minute to win it, and he spooned it wide. I think it was just over, and it's just a great moment for him. I feel happy for him. He's been United's best striker for the last 10 years.
Now, I am going to touch on Arne Slot, we're going to go back to him in the post-match press conference. And again, I feel like this was the moment for me where I thought, okay, Slot's gone, he's lost it. Where he lost me anyway, sure. Joe. And obviously that's the thing that he's most bothered about is has he lost one half of the Big Man Up Top podcast, was that he came out immediately and started talking about how difficult the game was, because it's always hard when you set up against teams that play long ball and use the low block to their effect and to good effect and all of that sort of stuff. I feel like immediately he's looking to pass the buck from what is a terrible performance. United didn't come to Anfield and just sit back and soak and try and nick a goal. Yes, they just defended well after being 1-0 up, but I think that he's trying to imply there that United have not come and tried to play Liverpool, and I think that he needs to just get on with the job and of sorting this out. And I would have had so much more respect for him in that post-match press conference if he'd have come out and said, we weren't good enough, United were better, this is a problem and we're trying to fix it.
Which he did eventually come on to say. I think if you read the full press conference, he did start with the low block thing, the long ball thing, and I have a lot of grace for him. I think he did a fantastic job last year. I think he's very tactically astute. He's led this group of players through the most traumatic circumstances in the summer. He's balancing that. He's balancing a title defence. So I have a lot of grace for him as a caveat to this conversation. But yeah, he needs to sort it out. He did come across a little bit of not like snooty towards United, but I hear what you're saying about implying that they didn't come to play football.
And listen, I'm a Stoke fan, so I
you feel this personally.
I remember the years of every big manager when we would go and get a difficult away point somewhere. Everyone would go, oh well, yeah, but it's always hard to play against them, isn't it? And I'm like, no, that's your job. Your job, what we're bringing. Your job is to play better than us. You've got better players, better resources, and Liverpool just aren't performing at the moment.
They're not. I think the narrative around coming and playing with a low block, Palace did the same. It's how Palace play, and there seemed to be no distaste towards
no derision
that.
towards
No, there
that,
wasn't. It's how you play football. It's a way to play against Liverpool. It's a way to play against Arsenal. It's a way to play against City. Fulham did a low block against Arsenal at the weekend, and it was very effective, apart from a set-piece goal, which we'll come on to. So,
last question, Joe.
Go on.
Liverpool. Is it all going wrong? Are they a club in crisis, or is this just a small blip and it'll all be fine?
It's a blip. 100% it's a blip. I have no doubt that they're going to be up there at the end of the season. They're not going to run away with it like they did last year. I still think Arsenal are the favourites for the title, but I have no doubts that this squad of players are good enough to mount a title challenge. So I'm not worried, Ed. The online discourse suggests otherwise.
Liverpool Twitter is
very a terrible
worried.
place.
Yeah.
It's everyone's freaking out a little bit about this, but I think give it time.
Well, speaking of managers under pressure, Forest losing against Chelsea, and that actually meant that a manager went from being under pressure to being no longer in the job. Ange getting sacked. What was it? A mere 20 minutes after the final whistle at the City Ground.
Couldn't even do the post-match press conference. I mean, is this the most ridiculously predictable outcome to this situation?
Yeah, I feel like we called it. We must go through the archives. I think we called this about 6 weeks ago. It's been one of those sort of odd situations, and the thing for me is that so far and away, this is the shortest tenure of a manager in the Premier League. I believe that is only barring possibly Sam Allardyce, who came in for a few games at the end of the season.
Previously mentioned. But he was brought in for 4 games.
4 games
on a contract.
That's right. And so I sort of discounting that. This is the shortest tenure of any manager in the Premier League. And it's absolutely ludicrous that this would happen. And I think just sort of more speaks to the circus that's going on at the City Ground. And I don't know whether their fans want this or not. I don't really know.
It's really hard because the owner, who is affectionately referred to as Mr. Marinakis by many people around him,
including players in the post-match
including
press,
the captain.
Yeah, in the press conference, which is all very bit weird, isn't it?
Yeah, he's a really ambitious owner. He knows what he wants. Forest last year were by far the story of the season for me, weren't they? How they went from relegation candidates to pushing for the Champions League, only just missing out. A huge season. And for the neutral, everyone loved to see that. Marinakis from there he's almost got ideas. It's like, we can go a step up. We can thank Nuno for how far he's brought us. Obviously, there was a bit of a falling out as well to do with Edu, the sporting director. But Mr. Marinakis has said, thanks Nuno, appreciate where you've got us, but we're going to find someone to take us to the next step. He's brought in Ange because he's won the Europa League last season. We can win the Europa League this season. It hasn't worked. So now they're in this very bizarre situation where they're choosing between Sean Dyche and Roberto Mancini.
Exactly.
I mean, what on earth?
It is a very odd situation. As we record on Monday, Forest are in advanced talks to appoint Sean Dyche as the manager. Now, let's be honest, by the time this podcast is edited and then put out live...
Might be another manager.
Who knows? Sean Dyche could have joined and left again.
Do you feel this is almost an admission that they're now in a relegation battle?
Well, I think so, because I just think you're sort of in a... You can't really, in all honesty, create anything from this position. It is such a car crash at Nottingham Forest that whoever comes in, Sean Dyche or whoever, has got an awful lot of work to do just to stable the ship. It's kind of like Chris Wilder in the Championship with Sheffield United. You can't just bring them back in and expect it to turn around immediately. There is going to be a time of them getting back up to speed, and hopefully there's enough time left for them to actually do something. That is maybe the upside to sacking your manager after however many games, is that there's still quite a lot of time to sort this out, but who knows. Would
you take that job if you were a manager on the market and you get offered the Forest job, knowing what's going on? Would you take it?
100%.
Would you?
Because in my mind, this is kind of like taking the Chelsea job under Abramovich, in that everything's so mental behind the scenes, and people know that you've kind of got a free hit, because if it goes really wrong again,
they know it's not you.
You can just go, well, this is the guy upstairs, isn't it? You know what I mean?
What if you just started a podcast and it's going well, and then suddenly you've got to go and do your job again?
Well, this is exactly what has happened to Sean Dyche, who has recently started a podcast. Look, we all know when you start a podcast, the big thing is consistency.
It's all we ask for.
You have to keep bringing the episodes out. You have to keep churning out that content. And he's, 3 episodes in or something? And he's
like, sorry, lads.
He's had to pause the podcast so that he can potentially go and join Nottingham Forest. I absolutely love it. I think he should just carry on the podcast.
I'd like him to.
Yeah, just do it from the training ground. That's what we all want. Anyway, let's briefly touch on Chelsea. I think just talking about Forest is probably not doing Chelsea. It's doing Chelsea a disservice, because they actually played really well in this one. It was a bit of a routine win, but they took their goals well, didn't they?
Yeah, really well. And I think something that struck me watching this game and then watching them against Liverpool, when Reece James is fit and playing well, he makes a huge difference to this team.
Massively.
He is such an important player, and that's going to be key for Chelsea, keeping him fit. He's the captain. He is a fantastic crosser of the ball. We saw that for England as well, how well he can cross the ball. And I think he is going to be key to how well their season goes. Something else that is key to Chelsea's season: stop getting sent off.
Yeah.
5 red cards in 6. And this was the most just ridiculous
daft sending off you've ever seen. Just despite being 3-0 up, just a challenge in the opposition's half, not necessary. And
you saw how angry Maresca was about that.
Yeah.
He was probably thinking...
Sat up in the stands, livid, wasn't he?
Finally a game where we've not had a red card, and suddenly there we go.
Another team that scored 3 goals, or more specifically 2 teams that scored 3 goals. Palace and Bournemouth played out probably the thriller of the weekend. A 3-3 draw at Selhurst Park. Mateta with a lot of late drama. What happened in this one, Joe?
Well, he got a hat-trick, and I've never seen anyone so devastated about the fact he's got a hat-trick, because in the last minute he had a chance to win it. What a moment that would have been. But
the ball was squared across to him in the penalty area with about 10 seconds to go.
Yeah.
The easiest chance that he'd had all game, and he just absolutely spooned it over the bar. And bless him, he did not look very happy. But he had an outstanding game, didn't he?
He's so good. He's up there with Haaland as the most difficult striker to play against this season. He's so good to watch, so powerful, great finisher apart from that moment, of course. What a game. What a great game.
This was the exciting thing about this game, because Palace and Bournemouth have both started the season really, really well, and they're exciting teams playing quick attacking football, and this was like basically the dream result. Everyone wanted to see them score goals and play well, and they both did, and it was blockbuster stuff.
So Ed, as we said earlier, we are going to talk today about the decision that is being made by the West Midlands Police in Birmingham. The decision that fans of Maccabi Tel Aviv have not been allowed to travel to England to go and see Aston Villa against Maccabi Tel Aviv in the Europa League in November. Why don't you talk us through some of the facts that have happened so far?
Yeah, well, just for a bit of background for anybody that hasn't followed this story. So Maccabi Tel Aviv are due to play Villa in the Europa League, as you said, in November. The local safety authority, the Birmingham Safety Advisory Group, or SAG.
They need a better acronym than that.
It's not great. Along with the West Midlands Police, have classified this fixture as high risk, advising that no away supporters, in this case Maccabi fans, be allowed to come to the game. The stated reason was that, quote, current intelligence and previous incidents, including violent clashes and hate crime offences that occurred during the 2024 match between Maccabi Tel Aviv and AFC Ajax in Amsterdam. Now, that was last year, you may remember, on the 6th and 7th of November 2024. There was basically 2 days of riots. This was prior to and after the Europa League match between Ajax and Maccabi Tel Aviv. There were violent disturbances in Amsterdam involving Maccabi fans and pro-Palestinian demonstrators. Some of the reported behaviours were tearing down Palestinian flags, anti-Arab chanting by some Maccabi fans, and attacks targeted Israeli supporters as well. I think, and it is safe to say that that incident, it wasn't sort of necessarily one side or another. It wasn't sort of just Tel Aviv fans who had gone to cause trouble. Obviously, in all groups of supporters, you may well have a few people that have done that. But equally, both sides in this situation, definitely committed some very serious wrongs, and it resulted in just tensions blowing up. And as I say, I think 30 people ended up in hospital during that. And so because of that, they have deemed, the police and the security forces have deemed that this is too high risk to stage this game. This decision has then sparked quite a lot of criticism from UK political figures. UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer has publicly described the decision as the wrong decision and emphasised the role of police is to enable fandom without fear. And the big chat is all around anti-Semitism. Are Maccabi Tel Aviv fans being targeted by the police because they're Jewish ultimately, or is it just that they believe that this is too high profile, too high risk a game to police? And I think that's ultimately what it backs up, what it comes down to.
Now, I think this is a really hard one, because are they acting on intelligence that this actually could be a very serious incident? And it's fair to say this has been founded on things that have happened in the past, like you've just outlined. But this isn't the first time that these kind of things have happened. Yet this is one of the first times that we've heard about fans not being able to come to England to support their away team because of trouble in the past. The thing, when I was thinking about this, I immediately think of the Champions League final last year. We touched on this podcast about PSG fans. They won the Champions League. There were then riots in their own town following that win. There was violence, there was stabbings, there was a lot of unrest following that. So why aren't we hearing about other clubs.
Yeah, well, I think that is something that's really safe to say. Maccabi Tel Aviv do have a reputation for being a raucous and boisterous fan base. For example, there was recently a derby game in Tel Aviv that was shut down because of fan behaviour and pyrotechnics and flares and violent clashes and all that sort of stuff. But I think one would have to say, is that any different from the likes of Galatasaray or some teams in the Greek leagues where, again, and also British teams as well. Let's be clear. Football hooliganism is very much something that we over the decades have perfected.
And it's something that you see in Italy as well.
Absolutely, all over the place. There are supporters within any group of football supporters. There are going to be a minority, and often not an unsizable minority, but a group of those fans who are there to cause trouble, who are there to do more than just follow their team. So I think that's something that you actually see in lots of different clubs. And the big question is you're absolutely right. Yes, would we stop a Galatasaray coming to England? And we sort of don't seem to be, and we seem to be able to find a policing solution for that. Now, what I do have to add is at this point, I actually am not a police or security expert. I actually have I have a friend, Joe, who is. His name is Jack Clulow, Director of Operations at TVG. Now, he doesn't specialise in football, but does specialise in large crowd events, music events, that sort of thing, and is trained in counter-terrorism stuff as well. And I asked Jack about his thoughts about this whole situation.
Safety of attendees is the number one thing. If you can't commit to their safety, then you probably shouldn't do the event. This is the pertinent question when it comes to this particular instance with these Tel Aviv fans is, I think, most likely the argument that the football club and the local authorities have made to themselves is that they can't necessarily 100% guarantee the safety of these fans. And therefore, they've decided that the safest thing to do is to just not allow them to attend the game. Now, I can understand that from a purely operational point of view. I would imagine that there's been a lot of discussion that's taken place between the football club, local police, local transportation authorities, probably local government, whether that's councillors, mayors or otherwise. And they've perhaps decided that the safest thing to do in order to uphold the peace locally is to simply not facilitate, full stop. Now, how you balance that against the desire of wanting to get on with the event, I mean, it's becoming more and more difficult to do so, to be perfectly honest with you. As politics becomes more and more a part of everyday life, as it seems to be doing, and as it starts to become more and more fractured and more extreme in some instances, it's getting harder to keep the thinking about it out of event preparation. Because you have a responsibility to be prepared for whatever may arise.
I think for me, it's highlighted this as an issue, and almost now, regardless of the result, whether this is overturned, fans are allowed, or they stick with the ban, it's really highlighted this situation. And it's almost, for me, it's showing a lack of confidence in the logistical teams around these events.
Yeah. And I think as well, it's one of those, as with all of these things, it's often not the specific situation, but it's more of the principle of what it means. It's the slippery slope of what it means. We understand that the police have got to keep people safe, and that's very important. And we've even spoken just in the last few weeks about how there is a biblical mandate for us to take care of people and for us to assess risk and for us to look after one another and keep people safe. But this feels like a slippery slope to, and again, I'm being hyperbolic here, but this feels like a slippery slope to banning all Jewish supporters because they attract this attention, or because they may be seen to attract this kind of attention. And that's where I think people are very concerned is, Because let's face it, that this happened with English supporters in the 80s and 90s when England fans were banned from Europe because after the Heysel Stadium disaster. And actually, who lost out? Just most normal people that wanted to go and follow their team, rather than the hooligans or whatever it may be. And so that's what we've got to be really careful of, that we are not tarring everybody with the same brush.
We often like to bring a faith element into this. Now, It's quite hard to do that when it comes to policing matters and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And what impact can we make on such a large scale thing? But I think something the Bible talks a lot about is peace, and how Jesus was the ultimate peacemaker.
Absolutely. There is a verse in Matthew chapter 5. It's from the Sermon on the Mount where Jesus says, "Blessed are the peacemakers, for they will be called children of God." We are called to be peacemakers and to seek peace, not division. That's really, really important. And actually, football is a really great vehicle for that, or can be a really great vehicle for that. We spoke about this last season, where we touched on the game at France 98 between the US and Iran. And actually, that's it, is football is a great way for us to bring peace, but we as Christians need to be at the forefront of that. We are called to not take sides in these situations, but we're here to seek peace. And that's really important.
So Jesus modeled being a peacemaker. There's many stories in the Bible to do with literally calming a storm, or there's a moment when he was dying, when he was on the cross, he brought peace. But he was also someone who stood up to discrimination.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you look at the countless stories where Jesus, for example, stood up for women in a time and a culture where women were seen as less than men. But also, there's a verse in Galatians that speaks about there being neither Jew nor Gentile, for you are all one in Christ Jesus. Absolutely, Jesus, one of his core messages was against discrimination of any kind. We are all made in the image of God, and where there is a group of people that are being discriminated against, we need to be at the forefront of people that are standing up for those. And ultimately, that's where this sort of this tension lies, isn't it? How can we seek peace and yet also stand up for different groups at the same time? That's incredibly difficult.
And it's about discernment, isn't it? Knowing when to bring peace and when to stand up. And that's something that we can pray about, we can talk to God about. When do you want us to stand up for the discriminated? And I think finally, we can pray for those who are involved.
Yeah, 100%. So there's a verse in Psalm 122, verse 6 that says, "Pray for the peace of Jerusalem. May those who love you be secure." And I think that we need to be praying for everybody in this situation, because something like this is such a massive issue that only God can fix this. Only God can sort these tensions and bring this peace that surpasses all understanding.
And I guess we can pray that some good can come out of it as well. Like you said before, football can be used for good. Football can be used for peace. Let's pray that this is a situation that can be turned around for good.
Right, Joe, it's time for Bible Ballers.
Yes.
Are you feeling quizzical?
Feel good.
Yeah.
How many can I ask?
I'll ask you the question again, Joe.
Yeah, go on.
Sam Allardyce, who was once described as a genius by Pep Guardiola, has managed 11 clubs, not including caretaker spells or his one day in charge of England. For a point, I want you to give me 5 clubs that Sam Allardyce has managed.
I get 1 point for that.
You get 1 point.
Now, caretaker is an interesting phrase.
Yeah.
Because I've already given you Bolton.
Yeah.
Are you counting Leeds as a caretaker?
No.
No. Cool.
You can have Leeds.
I'll have Leeds. Okay.
That's 2.
Going Bolton, Leeds, Everton.
That's 3.
West Ham.
That's 4.
Newcastle.
That's 5. Well done, Joe.
Thank
He's
you
got
very
the
much.
point. Very good. Very good. Excellent.
I'm struggling beyond that, actually. Did he have a stint at Sunderland?
He did, yeah. So I'll run you through his managerial career. 1991, he was player manager at Limerick.
selection.
Yes, he was. He was caretaker at Preston North End after that in 92. But then permanent managerial jobs from 94 onwards. Blackpool, Notts County, Bolton Wanderers, that was the big one. Newcastle United, Blackburn Rovers,
yes,
West Ham United, Sunderland, England, the ill-fated pint of wine.
100% record.
Absolutely. Crystal Palace, Everton, West Brom, and then Leeds.
Of course, you forget about Palace.
You do. Unfortunately, that's all we've got time for. Thank you very much for listening to The Big Man Up Top. If you want to get in touch with the show, please ping us an email to podcasts@ucb.co.uk. Make sure you give us all the good reviews and all of that lovely stuff to help us get the word out. We also, Joe, need to say thank you to our new producer, don't we?
We've got a new producer.
Yes, producer Tom. We're very grateful for all of his hard work. He's moved the shirts around, hasn't he? In the studio.
He's had his way already.
Exactly. So he's coming here. He's moving the shirts around. But no, we are very grateful for Tom and all his hard work as well. And yes, there'll be a new episode next Tuesday, won't there, Joe?
There will.
See you there.
See you then.